Average Joe's Drive-In is proudly sponsored by the Maine Cannababes. The Cannababes are a charity group of pro-cannabis women in the state of Maine who are bringing worthy attention to various causes throughout the medical cannabis community. This year, they launched their very first Maine Cannababes pinup calendar. All the proceeds from this calendar are going to worthy charitable causes. If you are interested in purchasing one or finding out more about the Cannababes, you can go to their website, www.maincannababes.com, or find them on most major forms of social media like Facebook and Instagram. Please go and check out this group of wonderful people doing great things and helping out in the community. Once again, that's maincannababes.com.
Welcome to Average Joe's Drive-In,
Your weekly podcast of movies, music, games,
and other things entertainment related.
Now, your host,
TJ Washburn.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Average Joe's Drive-In, episode number 34. I am your host, TJ Washburn. I decided to do a review cast. There will be no regular episode this week, as it is the holidays and Christmas, and everybody's very busy, including myself. So I just want to wish everybody out there that celebrates a Merry Christmas. And yeah, so we're not going to waste a lot of time yakking here, and I'm going to jump right into the reviews. And first up for me is 1989's Leviathan.
It was an experiment that tampered with nature's most basic laws. It went terribly wrong. It was buried 5 miles down. Now, a crew of undersea miners is about to stumble upon this terrifying secret.
Shack to 7. What's going on out there, Williams?
My God, are you picking this up?
Look at that. Leviathan.
Currently with a Russian fleet in the Baltic Sea.
Currently it's rusted junk and we're looking at it. What's your air reading?
20 minutes.
Do something quick.
We've lost him. My crew's in jeopardy.
But you have no proof.
I'm ordering you to start an emergency medical evacuation.
What if it turns out to be nothing?
It's already killed one man.
My rebreather stopped. I'm losing compression. I can't breathe.
Whatever got Six-Pack and Bowman, it's still here.
I feel something. Somebody's alive in here.
What's going on? Six-Pack. Six-Pack, answer.
Hey, don't go in there. Don't touch anything.
What are you trying to tell us, Doc?
It absorbs the intelligence of its victim.
Thank goodness you're still alive.
When are you coming?
I say we protect ourselves.
Leviathan.
This film was directed by George P. Cosmatos, has a runtime of 98 minutes, rated R, stars Peter Weller, Richard Crenna, Amanda Pays, Daniel Stern, and Ernie Hudson. I watched this one on VHS. The synopsis. Hired by Martin, the head of a major corporation, a crew including geologist Stephen Beck descends to the ocean's depth for a mining project. When the undersea explorers find a sunken ship and investigate, they inadvertently bring a malevolent life form on board their vessel. The creature kills some crew members and causes them to mutate, resulting in a battle for survival against an unknown force far beyond the surface of the ocean. This one I hadn't seen since back in the early HBO VHS days and remembered very little about it. I was curious to see how it would hold up today. I also thought it was appropriate that I watched it on VHS. Leviathan is a very slow burn sci-fi with horror elements. I personally consider it more of a creature feature, the likes of humanoids from the deep, a bit cheesy, but one of those you don't have to put a whole lot of thought into. There's definitely logistic and plot hole type stuff that come up, but again, seeing the subject matter, I can forgive it and just enjoy it for what it is. The cast is solid. There are some cheesy, corny dialogue moments, but they're amusing in the right ways. It's very much a product of its time in many regards. The effects are well done, and the creature effects are effective. They made good use of what I guess was a lower budget. They don't overdo it with showing you too much, so when the creature does appear, it is effective. If you're a sci-fi fan who likes creature feature type films, this is one you'd probably enjoy, and I recommend checking it out if you've never watched it. Don't go in expecting Alien, which is, in many ways, this reminded me of, especially the claustrophobic nature of their surroundings and just the whole premise, really. But it's also not sci-fi original level either. It's kind of a middle ground of those type of films. This is one that I am looking forward to watching again, sooner rather than later. My rating on this was a 6 out of 10. IMDb rating on this was 5.8 out of 10. Up next is 2009's 9.
Are we alone?
No.
What's this?
I found him in the emptiness.
You lead the beast straight back to us.
Where did it come from? Why is it hunting us?
They've been lost in the past, looking for answers.
Science has turned against us. Join me in repelling the iron fist of the machine.
We awakened something.
Something terrible.
Sometimes fear is the appropriate response.
You shall protect the future.
This film was directed by Shane Aker, has a runtime of 79 minutes, rated PG-13, stars Elijah Wood, Jennifer Connelly, and Crispin Glover, along with many other very talented and amazing voice actors. I watched this one on Netflix. Synopsis. When 9 springs to life, it finds itself in a post-apocalyptic world where humans no longer exist, and the only signs of life are sentient ragdolls like itself and the machines that hunt them. Though it is the youngest of the group, 9 convinces comrades that the only way to survive against the machines is to stop hiding and go on the offensive, and find out why the machines want to destroy them. As 9 in the group learn, civilization hinges on their success or failure. I wasn't sure how this one was going to be going in. The premise was different, which is part of what really piqued my interest. Coupled with a short runtime and a great list of talent doing the voices, I figured it was worth giving it a shot. I am happy to say I really enjoyed this one. While far from perfect, it was a fairly well-made film. I never once found myself bored. It has some nitpicky type things about it that bugged me, but overall it was solid. This is also one of those rare cases where I think they could have added another 15 or 20 minutes. I would have liked to see a few of the characters fleshed out a little more, especially with the voice talent that was backing them. That's the only major complaint I have with the film. The film has a dark tone, so it may not be suitable for really young viewers, but I think that would depend on the person. Think WALL-E, but closer to the Dark Crystal and the never-ending story, tone-wise. If you love animated movies in the style of Pixar and DreamWorks Animation Studio, this is one you'll want to check out. 9 is a film I will definitely consider picking up on Blu-ray or DVD if I can find it for a decent price. I can also see this being a film that would grow on me more upon repeat viewings. It just has that vibe to it. My rating for this was a 6.5 out of 10. IMDb rating, 7.1 out of 10. So, I am a little late to the game on this one. Most everybody that got to see this next film went and saw it opening day, or whatever, or spread out. But as far as us people that consider ourselves diehard Star Wars fans, I was a little late just because life has been so busy. I haven't had a chance, and I finally got to see this next film, which I've been dying to see it, and it sucks that I had to wait so long, but luckily I avoided spoilers, and I will do my best not to include any spoilers in this, and that is 2017's Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
When I found you, I saw raw, untamed power. And beyond that, something truly special.
Something inside me has always been there. But now it's awake. And I need help.
I've seen this raw strength only once before. It didn't scare me enough then. It does now.
Let the past die. Kill it. If you have to. That's the only way to become what you were meant to be.
We are the spark that'll light the fire that'll burn the First Order down. Come on! This is not going to go the way you think. Fulfill your destiny.
I need someone to show me my place in all this.
This film was directed by Rian Johnson, has a 152-minute runtime, rated PG-13, stars Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, and Mark Hamill. I watched this in the theater. Synopsis: Luke Skywalker's peaceful and solitary existence gets upended when he encounters Rey, a young woman who shows strong signs of the Force. Her desire to learn the ways of the Jedi forces Luke to make a decision that changes their lives forever. Meanwhile, Kylo Ren and General Hux lead the First Order in an all-out assault against Leia and the Resistance for supremacy of the galaxy. As I said, I was a little late getting to see this one in the theater, which worried me. I figured sooner or later someone was going to spoil it. Luckily, most people have been cool, and I've managed to avoid most of the discussion about it. I wanted to go in knowing as little as possible. So, I will do my best, like I said, not to drop any spoilers in my review for anyone else out there who hasn't had a chance to see this yet. This was mostly everything I personally wanted out of the film. There's plenty of action, some laughs, epic battles, and enough surprises that it kept me on my toes. The pacing for the most part is also excellent. Like I said, it's far from perfect. There are a few moments here and there throughout that I could have done without, but overall, it's a worthy entry into the Star Wars franchise. And I'll be honest, I think it's one of the better entries into the Star Wars franchise, at least since the original. The original trilogy, that is. I like the new characters that were introduced. The settings were gorgeous, and the visuals delivered in a big way. I've got to say, the score really propelled this one up for me. There was classic Star Wars music mixed with newer, and they perfectly complemented the scenes they accompanied. There were plenty of moments throughout that made me grin from ear to ear like an excited little kid, and even a few that made me want to applaud. And honestly, a couple that I had to kind of fight back some tears. As someone who's been a Star Wars fan since I was 4 years old, that's 35 years, that is saying something that movie affected me that much. I am looking forward to snagging this on Blu-ray when it comes out and giving it many more viewings. As much as I love Star Wars, the runtime is lengthy on this one, and I hate sitting in a theater for that long. Once is plenty. My rating on this is an 8.5 out of 10. The IMDb rating on this is 7.7 out of 10. Up next. Now this, I wanted to review this film before I got into the film I'm going to review after this, because it's been a while since I've seen that. And that is 2012's Prometheus.
A king has his reign. And then he dies. It's inevitable.
Prometheus has landed.
These are ancient civilizations that were separated by centuries, and yet this same pictogram was discovered in every one of them.
You're smiling.
I think they want us to come and find them.
We're all here because of a map you two kids found in a cave.
Not a map. An invitation.
From whom?
Please tell me you can read that.
Prometheus, are you seeing this?
Whatever that probe is picking up, it's reading life form.
What do you mean a life form?
Oh, the head. They're changing. Changing into what?
It's moving? These things moving?
What is that?
There's a ship. They're leaving.
To go where?
Earth.
We were so wrong. Take us home! If you don't stop it, there won't be any home to go back to.
Where's that door open? Got it out! Got it out! Big things have small beginnings.
film was directed by Ridley Scott, has a 124-minute runtime, rated R, stars Naomi Rapace, Logan Marshall Green, Michael Fassbender, Idris Elba, and Charlize Theron. I watched this one on Blu-ray. Synopsis: the discovery of a clue to mankind's origins on Earth leads a team of explorers to the darkest parts of the universe. Two brilliant young scientists lead the expedition. Shaw hopes that they will meet a race of benevolent, godlike beings who will in some way verify her religious beliefs, while Holloway is out to debunk any spiritual notions. However, neither the scientists nor their shipmates are prepared for the unimaginable terrors that await them. This is one of those films that has a very split opinion amongst fans of the Alien franchise. I found you either really enjoy it or hate it. There has been very little middle of the ground reaction that I've seen anyway since it came out. I haven't watched it in a while and wanted to give it a revisit. Like I said before, I watched the follow-up, Alien Covenant. This is a slow-paced film. That's one of the reasons I think a lot of folks don't care for it. For me, that wasn't an issue because I found the story very interesting and the significance of what they were trying to accomplish, after all, is one of the greatest questions of mankind. While it doesn't really have much to do with the Alien franchise per se and actual xenomorphs, it's a damn solid sci-fi film. The casting is great, and I love the choices they made for the characters. It was a huge help in making the film enjoyable. Without a solid cast like this, I don't think the film would have been anywhere near as enjoyable. In fact, Michael Fassbender's portrayal of David is wonderful. It's a very interesting play on the whole android thing and raises questions as to what it is to be human and the evolution of our understanding. It's very well shot. I thought the acting was solid and the effects are well done. Again, if you are expecting a fast-paced action film, this isn't it. It unfolds slowly until the very end. It's not perfect by any means, but it's a damn fine film in my honest opinion. There are some plot points that annoy me slightly, but other than that, I have very little issue with this film. This was my third viewing of the film, and each time I pick up on more things that I missed from the previous viewing. Each time that helps me understand what's going on more. I personally enjoyed films that do those sort of things. That element really ups the rewatchability factor for me because I'm picking up new things and it just makes it more interesting. While this film isn't for everyone, Prometheus is a film that I rather enjoy. So if you find that your views on films kind of line up with me or don't line up with me, I guess, take that with a grain of salt. And if you've been on the fence about checking it out, give it a watch or don't, whatever. My rating on this is a 7.5 out of 10. The IMDb rating on this is a 7 out of 10. Up next is 2017's Alien Covenant.
You've all sacrificed so much to be here and be a part of this thing we're doing. This crew is made up of couples. It's the first ever large-scale colonization mission. And everyone back on Earth is really grateful for your hard work and your courage. We're making history here.
This is wheat. What are the odds of finding human vegetation this far from Earth?
Who planted it? You hear that?
What?
Nothing. No birds. No animals. Nothing. What happened here?
Calm down, sweetheart, calm down.
Tell me to calm down. You're breaking up.
All of this is to start our new life. Where is it?
Let me out!
Hold on!
Holy. This film was directed by Ridley Scott, has a 122-minute runtime, rated R, stars Michael Fassbender, Catherine Watterson, and Billy Crudup. I watched this one on Blu-ray. Synopsis. Bound for a remote planet on the far side of the galaxy, members of the colony ship Covenant discover what they think to be an uncharted paradise. While there, they meet David, the synthetic survivor of the doomed Prometheus expedition. The mysterious world soon turns dark and dangerous when a hostile alien life form forces the crew into a deadly fight for survival. One thing I do want to touch upon before I start my review is a troubling trend with a lot of modern films. That's very misleading trailers. I understand they're often cut way in advance, but holy crap, the trailer for Alien Covenant is one of the worst offenders I've seen to date. It feels like half the stuff they showed in the trailer wasn't even in the movie. To me, that is a huge problem, as it gives false expectations of what you're going to see going in. I have heard a lot of mixed reviews on this one, much like I did with Prometheus, so I went into it with an open mind. This was my very first viewing of the film. Like Prometheus, this is a beautifully shot film. It looked great, and I enjoyed the performances of all the actors. It's also a very slow-paced movie. I think the pacing was slight more up-tempo than Prometheus, but not by much. The effects are well done, and I like the score a lot. It does a great job of explaining the origins and continuing the story of Prometheus. Those are the positive things. For the most part, I didn't have any issues with this film until the third act. That's when things went slightly south for me. While it wasn't horrible, there were a handful of moments that really bugged me. More so than anything that happened in the previous film. I will also be brutally honest. I absolutely hated the way the film ended. And I mean hated it. I saw it coming from a mile away. Though it didn't quite unfold like I thought it would, it was still telegraphed in a bit of a cop-out. While it doesn't ruin the movie as a whole for me, it definitely knocks my enjoyment level down a notch by at least a point, maybe a 1.5 on the rating scale. I'm going to be interested to see if this is like the previous film and grows on me with repeated viewings. Only time's going to tell on that front. My rating on this was a 5.5 out of 10. IMDb rating on this is a 6.5 out of 10. And last up, I wanted to save this one for last, simply because I have been so stupidly excited for this movie since I first saw the trailer. And that is 2017's Bright.
Windows up. Drive it like you stole it.
Put on the gas, hit the motor.
Officer Ward, what happened?
I got a dude in my car, and the whole world is watching.
Our nation's first Orcish police officer.
I can't fuck up my pension.
Hey, don't get me stabbed.
Wyvorks always gotta be the bad guys.
Danger, danger. I don't fit in, I'm a stranger.
So that night, we responded to a 415 disturbance call. Immediately took fire.
Yay? No holes?
Only the ones I was born with. Are your holes?
The fuck can you make a shootout awkward?
Believe I can take out all the evil.
It's a magic wand. This is like a nuclear weapon that grants wishes.
and it just went really sideways from that point.
I've only seen magic strike and kill.
Look, I didn't go through the struggle just to let a little trouble knock me out of my position.
The devil is coming.
We have to protect the wand. So I need to know that you got my back.
Are you a cop first or an orc first?
It's time to end this.
Fuck it. I want to die.
Let's do it.
We're gonna titty bar gunfight die.
How did all my dreams turn to nightmares? How did I lose it when I was right there? Now I'm so far that it feels like it's all gone to pieces. Tell me why the world never fights fair.
Butterfingers. We were doing so good.
Someone take me.
Are we friends?
I think we should spend our time just trying to survive this shit.
If we do this, we'll be heroes forever.
I need you to take your fat, Shrek-looking ass back the fuck home to Fiona. All right?
The film was directed by David Ayer, has a runtime of 117 minutes, rated TVMA, stars Will Smith, Joel Edgerton, and Naomi Rapace. I watched this one on Netflix. Synopsis. In an alternate present day, humans, orcs, elves, and fairies have been coexisting since the beginning of time. Two police officers, one a human, the other an orc, embark on a routine night patrol that will alter the future of their world as they know it. Battling both their own personal differences as well as an onslaught of enemies, they must work together to protect a young female elf and a thought-to-be-forgotten relic, which, in the wrong hands, could destroy everything. I've really been looking forward to this one since I first saw the trailer for it. Something different than what we're used to film-wise, and it reminded me of the old pen and paper tabletop game that I loved and played so much, Shadowrun. I tried not to get my expectations up too high, but I couldn't help myself from getting excited about it. This is a type of movie that's usually right up my alley. I will say, with all honesty, I wasn't disappointed. It's a really fun, straight-ahead, modern-day action film with fantasy elements. Joel Edgerton is great as Nick, and I also enjoyed Will Smith's performance. It's never boring, and there's loads of action. Even with a nearly 2-hour runtime, I never once found myself looking at the clock, which is key in an action film being enjoyable for me. Because nothing is worse than when you're looking up at the clock because action, 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 slow. Action, 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 slow. And you get those long... This film never had that happen because it was engaging enough, and there was the action was just awesome when it happened. What makes this work, where sometimes films of this nature don't, is it doesn't take itself too seriously. There were plenty of corny one-liners and jokes that reminded me of classics 80s over-the-top action films. The effects were well done, and I thought the film was very well shot. With that being said, there's actually a very real and modern subtext about racism and classism mixed in there. It fits the story and doesn't bog down the actions or become too preachy. I personally like that element in the fact a fantasy action flick had enough guts to put those tones in there. Maybe it wasn't intentional, but I would find that really hard to believe. If you're a fan of action films and want something traditional but a little different, Bright is one you're going to want to check out. My rating on this is a 7 out of 10. IMDb rating on this is a 6.7 out of 10. And that's going to wrap up my review episode. I'm hoping I will have another one up in next week, possibly. And I also will be starting some new guests coming in. I'm not going to announce everybody yet, but I have a bunch of guests already lined up. And I'm really looking forward to what 2018 has to bring for Average Joe's Drive-In. while this isn't, I haven't gone a whole year doing the show yet. This was my first year doing the show. And your response and just the love I have gotten from people that have been checking out the show has been awesome, and I really appreciate it. I want to thank all my guests that come on and made 2017 such an awesome year for me in getting the podcast off the ground. I really want to thank my friends Eric Marner and Dan Fleming, Tom Crosman, Eugene Weaver, and all the other people that have helped me out with kind of figuring things out with the podcast, and just being able to talk to them about different things has been awesome. Make sure you go check out Dan and Tom's podcast, the Potato League Podcast, and please be sure to check out the Movie Freaks with Eric Marner and Eugene Weaver. And if you haven't checked out the Christmas crossover episodes, one is up on Average Joe's Drive-In, the other is up on Movie Freaks. It's a two-parter. That was an absolute blast, and it's hilarious. I listened to the Movie Freaks portion of it the other day, and I laughed my ass off. Maybe it was just because I was part of it, but I thought it was really funny. You can find both of those podcasts on most major podcast hosting sites. I would really like to thank my sponsors, the Maine Cannababes, who are helping make 2017 awesome. Their new calendar is out. There are some copies available. If you didn't get a chance to pre-order yours, go to maincannababes.com. They have a big event coming up on New Year's, so if you are in Maine, go to maincannababes.com for more information on that. It's going to be pretty cool. You'll be able to buy a calendar. You can get autographs from a bunch of the girls that were in the calendar, and it's, I think, like $2 an autograph, but all of the proceeds that they make from this event is going to a very worthy charitable cause, somebody that's involved in the medical cannabis community that was denied a liver transplant because he uses medical cannabis, which is complete and utter bullshit. And so he had to be put on a new waiting list. Fortunately, due to awesome activism from people like my friend Jenny Plum and the Maine Cannababes, Godfrey's Law was passed this year in Maine, and they're not going to be able to deny people organ transplants and such if they use medical cannabis. So Gary has been put back on the list, and but you know, his family needs some financial help right now. So the proceeds from the calendar are going to be going towards that. So again, check out maincannababes.com for more information. There is a wealth of resources on there too. And you know, once again, I thank all of you who have taken time to listen to the show, who've told your friends, who've added me on social media. I can't thank you guys enough, because you guys are what make this show fun for me to do and something I look forward to doing, and I wouldn't do it if I didn't have fun. So thank you guys so much. Be sure to check out all the websites. You can find me on Facebook at Average Joe's Drive-In Podcast. You can find me on Twitter at TWJ Author. You can find me on Instagram at Thomas Washburn Jr. I also have a .com, www.thomaswashburnjr. And if you want to help support the show in a way that you get something back and it helps me, you can purchase copies of my books in either Kindle or paperback format through Amazon. Just go to amazon.com/author/Thomas Washburn Jr. Or just go and type in Thomas Washburn Jr. in the search bar. You know, there's all 6 of my novels are up there. As well as short stories. And like I said, most of the novels and short story collections are available in paperback, in Kindle format. The single short stories that I have up are available for Kindle only right at the moment. So anything you guys can do to help would be awesome, and you get something out of it, and maybe you might enjoy it. I don't know. But once again, you have been listening to Average Joe's Drive-In. I am your host, TJ Washburn. And have a Merry Christmas, you filthy animals.